Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to Rise Up After Dark. Hey everybody, it's Wednesday, June 18th, but wherever you are, whenever you listen, thank you so much for being here. We are here to help you understand the wild and wonderful world of cryptocurrency, wrap your head around future technology, start using things like AI or Bitcoin safely, confidently, and have a lot of fun along the way. Hi to all of our friends listening live, to everybody in podcast land. Hello. We hope your candles are green. I do want to see how everybody is doing, but first, I'm just going to get the show on the road. I have to introduce you to our wonderful guest, who is an OG of the space. One of the things we lament often is that our newcomers and our history keepers, they don't have many common spaces where they interact, and we're so excited that you're on X, that you're on TikTok, that you are doing work to try and help everyday people understand what's going on. So without further ado, I give you Brooke Lacey. How are you, Brooke?
I'm doing good. I'm so glad you talked me into this. I needed to have a little comeback kid. Yeah, I'm doing good. I always feel like when people say OG, I'm just old. Like I'm just really old. In terms of like crypto world, like I'm not very old.
No.
But in this world, been
You're
around.
crypto old. Yeah.
We're all geriatric.
I'm crypto old.
Hey, in our Discord audience, you're actually pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who would take umbrage at you calling yourself old because they'd say, "Well, what am I then?"
Yeah,
I'm really glad you're here too. I'm so glad.
49 years old, so I highly doubt that any of your Discord audience is older than me. Maybe they
Oh
are.
no, we have
half of our
60,
audience.
70, and 80
Like-
year olds. We have
Okay,
lots of people
perfect.
at all ages. Really, truly. You're
Then
right.
I feel
yeah.
young. I feel
The
young.
average age of our audience is in their 40s. We have
Love it.
Almost 50% of people who listen to the show are in their 40s. About 40% are women, and they're all over the world. So it really is the next billion users that everyone's always looking for and talking about.
That's who I think on X we are in such an echo chamber. I talk about it all the time. Like you all don't even understand. Like there's a whole nother world out there. There's people that even in real life that I'm go to these meetups and that kind of stuff. And just people don't realize that there's a huge world outside of crypto Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
As much as we love what's going on there with mindshare and airdrops and all that stuff. That's not really how we get the masses onboarded. Love
I
that
do
word.
really enjoy, and I think all of us do, like telling a person who lives on crypto Twitter about our audience and then seeing their brains just melt and then spontaneously combust.
Yeah,
I will say,
yeah,
just
exactly.
Brooke to help. So Eddie in the chat over here says 76. And then I do also love that Carol just sent a couple laughing emojis. Because
Carol is 82 years young.
Yep.
And she's a regular.
Carol.
57, our friend
I love
JC,
that.
almost 50, 56. Let us know where you're tuning in from, how old you are, or if you're just turning 18 for the 30th time. That's great too. We're glad you're here. And I do want to talk about, Brooke, your TikTok career and the refreshing of it. But first, I want to explain a little game that we play to you. So, Rise Up
Love the
After
game.
Dark, we tend to let our hair down.
Is it a spicy game?
It's a BYOB DYOR show where we answer our audience's questions about crypto companies, altcoins, technology. We talk a little shit about the industry, all in good fun. And we play a great game here where every time you hear this sound when you're speaking, it means that something you've said has earned you a point. And every time you hear this sound, it means, oh, excuse me, I gwumped and dinged you. Every time you hear the gwump sound, it means you've lost a point. And at the end of our game today, if we have collectively achieved an arbitrary number of points that I will decide at some other time, one of the friends in our community will win a fabulous prize. So, good luck. Do you want to take a minute and tell people about the experience you have in the space, how you got here, and the kinds of things that you work on?
You guys are having technical difficulties. I cannot see the screen. So just if you can see me and hear me, then
You
I'm
Yeah,
look
you
good,
look
you
great.
sound good.
You're good.
Can
Okay,
you
great.
hear us?
It's my computer. I've been mining. So I mine Tari and all kinds of different stuff with my monster gaming laptop, and I just unplugged the HDMI, and I have no no screen. So that's okay.
We
I'm
can
just not
hear
even
you.
gonna
We
look at
can
myself.
see you.
Yeah.
Don't fret about it. Maybe can you start there? How long have you been mining, and what got you started with mining? And could you explain? A lot of our folks will know what that is, but I think some people hear that maybe now or in the future, and they'll be like, "The hell is mining cryptocurrency?" I've always heard people say that. Does it exist? Can you pull it out of the
Right.
computer? It would be a
You
great place to
can.
start.
The files are in the computer.
The files are, oh my God. Zoolander. Nobody
Yeah.
gets that when I say it. And
What?
so I think I've just found my people. I mean,
Evan,
they
that's a
do,
movie.
but, like,
Welcome.
I have
Evan,
to
that's a
say-
movie.
I have to like say it.
Brooke,
What was
you
that?
are among friends, Brooke, for sure. And there's a
Yeah.
running joke because Evan is actually a classically trained actor and has been on screen in several different productions, as recently as a show that is on NBC recently. But the joke is that he's never seen any movies or TV shows ever and never understand any references. So every time someone says something about a movie that is like Zoolander, like just a timeless classic that we are all, love and are
I
familiar
have
with.
so many questions. I have so many fucking
Yeah.
questions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, first of all, Evan, I get it because I was raised by like a super, super religious mom and like was not allowed to watch movies or like TV shows. Like I remember 90210, like I was just, they were all smut. Was not able to watch any of that. But then like later in life, because I'm old, remember, I was able to like backtrack and like watch a bunch of things. But like I remember not even seeing Reservoir Dogs and stuff like that. So I get it. I understand. But Zoolander, like we need to just stop right now. Maybe just put it on here. We'll just all watch it together.
Just stream it in the background. I have seen
That'd be pretty
Zoolander
great.
once a long time ago. I just don't remember. Isn't David
Okay,
Bowie
well
in
then
it?
you understand that he's super dumb and he's the model and he's like the files are in the computer, and I find this all the time because I've been in tech since the 90s that like and in like sort of tech support and that kind of stuff where people are like, it's in the cloud. It's like, well, no, it's just other people's computers. That's all that means. Like, it's not, the files are in the computer. Okay, so the files are actually in the computer. When you think about it, everything is just electricity. This does lead into how I got into crypto. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look, but I'm
No, you're
looking at
good.
TikTok, whatever.
Either way.
Everything is electricity, and literally everything we do, even like the movement of our arm to like press the button on the keyboard to like, get whatever's happening on the screen, everything is coming through electricity. And so when people say like, oh, we're, creating this internet money out of thin air, like, well, no, we're creating it out of electricity and electromagnetism and the work that's put in, just like it, your body takes work to build muscle and that produces something for you. Work in terms of like putting math problems together and pulling from an electrical source, it's actual work, just like pulling that to light the room. It's no different than that. So we're creating this currency that is only worth something because someone said it was, and then we all, there's a consensus amongst people, amongst math, amongst, computer programs that make this so. Just like fiat money, just like dollar bills, really have no meaning whatsoever. They're even less worth anything. That's not the right wording, but I get very passionate
gotcha.
about this. Like they're even less valuable because they're backed by nothing. And all I know, and this is as a kid too, like I just see in code and I see things. I'm not like a master senior software developer. I just understand code. I'm more on like the DevRel side. But when 2008 hit, and I was always in tech, I had good jobs, I had money, owned property. It wasn't like a huge deal for me personally, the 2008 financial collapse, but I had tons of family, affected by it. And in the tech world, we always kind of heard about digital cash. We, like you would on the Reddit threads, on the, different things that you were a part of as a tech geek, and they just couldn't figure it out. And so when 2008, happened and everything collapsed and we were like, there's got to be a better way. And then the Bitcoin white paper came out. Well, my ex-husband and our, some of our friends, were selling weed, and one of the guys was like, you've got to check this out, the Silk Road thing. We just have to like mine Bitcoin. And so it was the two things that came together. My technology background, where like I understood how the code was going to work and how, like, you know, because we built computers, we were, you know, I should say we, but like I was building computers with a group of people. I had a computer repair shop in 2009. So like this was a part of my life. And then also we were selling weed. And for us, and like now I feel more comfortable saying it. Before it was like, yeah, we were, you know, selling drugs off the internet. But me personally, and I know there's a lot of people that feel this way, they're just not as open. Silk Road was truly like one of the best, you know, pieces, one of the best products ever to grace us, because it was like eBay and you knew what you were getting. There was reviews, you know, for some of the more illicit things, you could actually see, you know, that wasn't part of our life, but it was just like, that's the way things should be, is like those things are going to happen anyway. It's just like, I don't know how explicit we can be here, but it's like sex work, right? Like these things are all going to happen regardless of how you feel about it morally. And so we might as well have a way to make it work correctly and ethically and all of that stuff, which is a, you know, oxymoron or whatever. But so we started mining, and really back then it wasn't like these huge things that you see, these, you know, giant warehouses of, you know, of graphics cards, and it was a couple of Dell XPS, you know, tower computers in the basement with a bunch of fans, like literally. And it wasn't about mining Bitcoin for generational wealth. It was to sell drugs in Idaho. Like that's what it was for. And so it was a true creation of a store of value and a transactional piece that, yes, was private and, you know, but it wasn't like nobody understood how blockchain really worked at that time. It was just a mode of transactions. And so that worked for a while. And then the FBI seized Silk Road and seized about, now everybody, you know, hold on to your chairs. There was probably 700, there's approximately 700 Bitcoin seized in the FBI seizure. And then it gets worse. And then there was about 200 or 300 of them that like our friend was like, oh, that we can trade it. So we watched him trade it to zero. Again, it was all worth maybe $3. I can't remember exactly, like at the time. I'm sure we could look it up. I'm sure there's researchers that are going to, you know, come and tell me exactly how much it was. I don't ever do the math. That's a whole nother like
You don't want to
story
do
there,
that math.
because like, yeah, and it's an investor's mindset. You can't, if we had known that, then Bitcoin wouldn't be at 110,000 now. Like that's not how history works. That's not how, like, you know, the time horizon works.
Yeah. Our friend Robert Steckler says I'm pretty good at trading to zero myself.
Right, exactly.
Go ahead, sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, and then we lost a bunch of Mt. Gox, and there's probably like 1,000 sitting on hard drives in the Idaho landfill. And so, you know, there's definitely history there. The guys that my ex-husband still owns a few. We have a multi-sig. Like there's not very many left. I had quite a few that we sold when it was like at 3,000. You know, I was like, we're rich. So you just never know. And a lot of people, I always say this too, like, yes, it's OG. That doesn't make me a billionaire. Like,
yeah.
In most people that have Bitcoin from back then, either if they still have it, it's because they lost a hard drive and then refound it, right? Because not many people held. I don't know of anybody that could possibly tell you from back then that they believed that Bitcoin would hit $100,000 in their lifetime or their children's lifetime. I know I wasn't. There's no way. That if you told me 10 years ago that Bitcoin would hit $100,000, I would be like, you're high. Like, that's not going to happen. So of course people sold. Like, it's very difficult to hold. So that's,
well, especially
that's
too, then you're just looking at Bitcoin as a means of transacting. You know, it wasn't
Correct.
an investment. It was just, okay, this is how we can transact to sell drugs in Idaho.
Right. The investment was the drug money. Like
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was where the money, that was the business.
Mhm.
That was the business. And now you look at like what's going on with, I mean, I don't want to get into, like, we only sold weed, but if you look at the drug sort of trade as a whole, and the fact that there's so much like, you know, restrictions and all of these things, that now you see people going for something like fentanyl when you know, because they're gonna do it. And so it's like back then you could, you know, do these transactions and you would know where the stuff was coming from, and then you were able to, like, you know, sell or do whatever, knowing that it was essentially safe. So I don't know, there's a lot of like morality and a lot of different things, you know, that that came from that. But even somebody talked about this yesterday on Twitter, that like the pump fund situation,
Oh yeah.
like the pump.fun meme coin thing, has extracted like 3 or 4 times the amount of money that Silk Road did. Silk Road as a whole, with all of the like weapons and like all of the different things that you could buy, in terms of, in the 1 year, like in the last year, and there's no utility. So I would say that the utility of Silk Road was massively better than anything that we see right now with these, like, you know, it's just, it's kind of like a, you know, casino. But
I'm curious where,
Yeah.
so you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but
yeah,
I've heard, you know, the two sides of the coin when we talk about something like Pump.Fun is that when we sit here and think about like the sanctity of the industry, then it's easy to say, okay, you know, X, Y, and Z is labeled as extractive. There's a lot of extraction. I would say that like one of the biggest issues with gaming, right? You look at something like Gala, that was super extractive. You could go into details about why that is and stuff. But Pump.Fun, I feel like also gets a little bit of a
Give it a little
shake
buy
sometimes, just because like it was a wildly successful protocol that made an absolute metric buttload of revenue.
So much money.
And a lot of those people were, like, I would say that a lot of the money that they made was not even necessarily extraction in the same sense that like someone was being lied to in order to contribute money. I think there was just like, there's a lot of gambling going on. And so they were the casino, they were the host, made a ton of money. And I'll give them shit all day long for the live streaming debacle. I can't believe they turned that shit back on. That went exactly the way that we could all expect it to go after it failed the first time. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes they get a bit of a bad shake in the, like, they made a bunch of revenue and we just call it always extractive, you know?
well, I think,
It is a, oh, sorry, Brooke, go ahead.
No. I just wanted to say, like, everything is good or bad, right? Like, you can pick up a hammer and bludgeon someone or build a house. Like, electricity can kill the man or cook the dinner. Like, everything is that way. And picks and shovels are what, you know, made people money in the gold rush. So, you know, hats off to Pump.Fun.
Yeah, I was just going to say, hey, they found a market. They built a product for that market. Executed perfectly.
So Brooke and I were talking the other day about, we were talking the other day
Executed
about,
almost perfectly.
Almost.
we were talking about Kaido the other day, and just kind of what they built. We were in that space. You were on stage there, and Kaido has recently announced they're coming over to TikTok. But it's interesting to see a lot of the experiments with InfoFi, with SocialFi, you know, whatever the trend of the day is. It really just ends up being, how can we turn this into a casino? How can we financialize the hell out of this and accelerate the velocity of people's ability? I mean, and some of it will be really valid. I think Polymarket is a really interesting, valid way to capture that and then transform it into like a news dissemination service. But I also think some of it is just, you know, I don't know. It was interesting. Alex and I had a meeting with Lon from Pump.Fun before they really blew up and got big.
There's nothing there.
Well, and he was, I mean, you know, he's a young guy.
Dude.
He was. He was
Mr. Pump.Fun. Like, it was like talking to a rodent on meth. He was out of his mind. watching his face just contort like as Evan spoke to him, and it
At a
wasn't
normal
at 30
speed?
million. He was like,
That's
sometimes when I can
crazy.
hear like my wife in her headphones listening to a book at like 2.5x speed, and I'm
Yes,
like, how
I
are
do
he
too,
was
yeah.
that in real life? That was he's just like the whole time I was like, dude, you are literally the Pump.Fun homepage looks like you in code. That's what I'm seeing when I stare at it.
Yeah, it was so funny. And you know, like I got it. I understood it. And it was great. He had a lot of conviction. He had a lot of stuff happening for him. And honestly, he didn't need to be wasting his time talking to us like he was a train leaving the station. Nil said, "Info fi fum," said the decentralized giant.
So five that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, take
I
me
like
back really
that.
quick to mining. Did you
Yeah.
mining Bitcoin? Did you ever mine ETH? Do you have any Ethereum notes?
No.
No.
I have been a part of a group of investors that ran an Ethereum node, but it wasn't like, you know, me specifically like setting it up and doing all that. And I like to, I don't know, I just like to like build stuff. So now Tari is out and I have another machine back here that I need a water cooler, but it's just fun to like, you know, create something out of electricity. And we have a bunch of solar here. So you know, I'm pulling the solar panels. I'm at my parents' house. So I'm like, hey guys, the electricity might go up for like $20 this month. Let me know. I'll pay that. But
That's fantastic.
no, and actually speaking of TikTok, so we did a video, my son and I, because he was trying to do like unmineable. This was, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe longer. No, it was like 2022. Holy shit. And he was like, you know, I got him this big fancy graphics card. I can't remember which it was for gaming. And I was like, oh, you should try unmineable like overnight. You should just like let it run. And I did a video where I'm just like, hey, do you want to see how my kid's making money? And like the whole point to doing some videos is like just to get attention. That's what we're here for. And it got like 1.5 million views. And I'll tell you why. Because first of all, it's like me saying like, let me show you how my son's making money on the internet. And then I go to his room and like the video is like me opening the door and like going in, and the door had been shut. So a lot of the comments were like, that's the last time she's going to go into his room without knocking. And it was just like funny stuff. Like that's why they were talking about it. And I go up to him like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm mining souls or neo or some stupid shit like that. And so it got people arguing like that's not even possible, or she's just paying for the electricity. And he, you know, it's just like a canceling each other out. So I thought that was just an interesting like vivisection of you know, societal like understanding of things like that. I like doing that with TikTok, which is just like throwing stuff out there, seeing what people say. I was doing blockchain education in 2022 and people just thought I was saying Bitcoin. I'm like, I'm too early. It's too early. They don't really understand.
If you're listening somewhere else live that's not TikTok, if you're on Twitter or you're on YouTube or you're listening in podcast land, then you really should check out Brooke's TikTok. It's Brooke J. Lacey, just like X, at Brooke J. Lacey. And
Everywhere.
she has really smart takes, really funny takes. Isn't your most popular video, though, you having people apparently are in love with your laughing reaction? That's like the #1 thing that they love. And I saw, and honestly, you are a really like you make other people laugh when you laugh. You've got one of those laughs, which is a wonderful thing to have. So
I think
points for that.
we looked one time. Remember when you could look up a hashtag and see how many actual video views were on the hashtag? I don't think it does that anymore. But at one time, if you looked up the hashtag Brooks Laugh, there were 14 million video views on the hashtag Brooks Laugh.
Damn.
What? So
What a great
I
thing to
think
go
the
viral
first
for,
one
though.
So dumb. Well, there's also the ogling shirtless lumberjacks. So, I mean, trust me, my TikTok account is a rabbit hole. So good luck to you after this. If you go look at my TikTok, just good luck to you. Carve out 2 or 3 hours of your night. Yeah, I think the first one I did was just like, I can't remember exactly. I'll have to go look, but it was just a duet, you know, I was just duetting this funny video and I was hysterically laughing at it. And blew up. So I'm like, all right, I can do this. And I just, yeah, there was a few of them that, and then people get mad because they couldn't hear the other person. I'm like, well, you can go to their original video. Yeah,
no one's
that was
stopping you.
that's a trip. You're okay.
So we need you to be back on TikTok is basically what we're saying, and we're glad that you took a chance with us to hang out. I know that folks have had a couple of questions in the audience, and there's been a lot that's going on. So I'd love to get your take on some of the stuff that's been happening lately. And Will was saying backstage before we start the show, he said, I am going to go on a little bit of a macro rant tonight because it sounds like people are being foolish. Who knew? I'm going being foolish people. Yeah, so, we've got the Genius Act has passed. Everyone's calling for lower interest rates.
It's sort of passed.
It's sort of passed. That's right, passed the Senate. So, Iran and Israel are not happy with each other, and Donald Trump is trying to get involved. There's a lot going on in the world right now.
They are not happy with one another. This is true.
They are not.
This has been geopolitics with Evan Man.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's all you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. On to the next topic.
TLDR.
Yeah, but Will, it sounds like you were a little bit fed up with the general state of the conversation you've seen on social media.
Yeah,
shocker.
There's even, I know, shocker, right? There's even been, and this has to do with Jerome Powell and the Fed. They had, for those of you who don't know, Jerome Powell, he's the head of the Fed. The Fed had their meeting today. The Fed also set monetary policy for the United States. They are the ones who set interest rates, and that affects global liquidity levels. Okay. Now, Jerome Powell came out, and everyone wants Jerome Powell to cut rates so that it becomes easier to borrow more money, and then liquidity levels start to rise, and that helps assets go up, like Bitcoin and crypto and stocks and all that good stuff, right? So a lot of people who I think their bags have been underwater for a long time, are just getting really frustrated, or are just turning off their brain and listening to their emotions, react to Jerome Powell come out for the 4th month in a row and say, we at the Fed are not cutting interest rates. And the reason why is because inflation is ever so slightly rising, but not that bad. Jerome Powell also said that there is less uncertainty now regarding the tariff strategy. However, we're still a little uncertain. We want to make sure that this policy holds. And the labor market looks strong. So if the U.S. jobs market is strong, the Fed doesn't feel a need to have to intervene to try to provide relief to Americans. So labor market's strong. Inflation is slightly going up. Even trueflation is going up. If you guys don't know what trueflation is, it's trying to get a more accurate measurement of inflation that you can trust, maybe more so than the figures coming from the government, is the way to look at it. Even trueflation showed that inflation went up last month. If the Fed, and this is okay, so that's what Jerome Powell said. And everyone I saw on Twitter, even one account who I really, really love for like great macro analysis, came out, and I saw one of these two takes. It was either fuck Jerome Powell, he's an idiot, he's dumb, blah, 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 something in that range. Or it's Jerome Powell is going to come out and be hawkish, or he didn't cut rates purely because he doesn't like Trump. And I'm just like, neither of these things are true. Both of those are emotional responses. The thing that the Fed does is the Fed just looks at data, and it needs that data to be consistent for a given period of time before it feels comfortable making a decision on interest rates. Because right now, and this is what would happen if the Fed started cutting interest rates right now, while inflation is slightly going up, that would cause inflation to go up faster.
Yeah.
And we have been dealing with inflation for 2.5 years. So if the Fed cuts interest rates now, then the progress we made with inflation over the past 1.5 years just completely goes out the window. And yes, you would have momentary relief in markets, but then you would be setting yourself up for absolutely a recession, if not depression, if the US dollar's value started getting inflated into oblivion, because natural market forces combined with trade policy, combined with interest rates being cut, are just throwing gasoline onto the inflation fire. And so when I go out and I see some people on Twitter creating content that is meant to elicit an emotional reaction to get likes and reshares, I understand that. But then when I see some like pretty steadfast macroeconomic people spewing, and I'm going to say this, some bullshit out there, Like, it's just bullshit. Like,
Language,
those people,
mister.
I'm just like,
That's bullshit.
you're smart enough and knowledgeable enough to know what the impact is of cutting interest rates. It's not that hard. I just explained it very simply. And that's about all you really need to know. And you kind of understand the situation. It's just people turning off their brains and wanting something so badly. And because they've turned off their brain, they don't see the cliff that road would absolutely lead every single global economy towards and fall off of. And then guess what? The bags that are down, guess what?
They'll be the least of your problems.
Yeah, they'll be the least of your problems.
Right.
You'll be unemployed. You're going to lose your house. You're not going to be able to get food on the table. Like, guys, it'd be a really big problem. Jerome Powell and the Fed have shown clearly for years now, they make decisions based on the data. And they have seen Powell got put in by Trump. He was under Biden. He was under Trump again. Now he makes decisions based on the data. The Fed make decisions based on the data. They do not care about politics. They care about the economy. They care about the labor market because that's how they measured their success.
Well, you know what's weird?
That's it.
Is that right now they're managing to be basically the only piece of the federal government that has remained any kind of apolitical, and it's really throwing people off because the juxtaposition of that compared to every other agency, department, I mean, House of Congress at this point is just weird to look at because we have a memory that, lasts about 18 seconds at this point. And so who's to say what it was like last year or the year before when agencies like had autonomy and thought for themselves. And now you just look at Jay Powell and it's just unsettling. Plus, you have to contend with the incredible amount of like frustration with market underperformance, according to many people's hopes and dreams. And then you combine that with bag holder bias and believing that like yours are special and you deserve to make $1 million overnight and all this other kind of stuff. And it's just like, well, this is not what the influencers told me. They told me that altcoin season was coming and I was going to be super ludicrously rich. And now I'm not. And what is this? 10% in one day? What is this bullshit? I'm not in crypto for 10%. I'm here for 1,000%. And then he doesn't cut rates. And you're like, wait, I thought that what I needed for my bags to go up was rates to be cut. I want rates to be cut. I don't need to know anything about any of the other contributing factors. Just cut the damn rates. And it's just like on and on and on and on. And, I think a lot of that just contributes to the madhouse that is.
Yeah. Two final things on this. First of all, I deserve to make $1 million overnight. Secondly,
that's right. That's
same,
right. You do, buddy.
Right. We all four of us, everyone in the chat here too deserves it also. But the other thing too is,
I have
hey,
some
everybody.
fans in the chat.
Yeah, you do. You have a lot of fans in the chat. But here's the thing. Jerome Powell did say we are still on pace for 2 interest rate cuts by the end of the year. However, it's all dependent on the data still. But it looks like we are on pace for 2 interest rate cuts in the second half of this year, which is still good. Okay,
So-
that's still good. It's not cuts now.
Does
but
that mean
hey,
my bags go up?
It means you make $1 million overnight.
$1 million
Fingers crossed.
overnight.
You heard it here
Yeah.
first, folks. Yell at Will when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Will, is that what it meant? Because I didn't watch it because I knew that you were going to watch it, and I could just ask you like the ChatGPT version of
That was
me.
what I was going to say. Is like, thank you for telling me all the things.
You're welcome.
Just
I know
tell me
Alex
what
has said that. There was a time earlier today. I was just like, I don't want to watch this. I'll just do this later.
You
And then I was
have
like,
to.
no. I literally thought Alex is waiting for my video.
They're going to need
I
to
am.
I had
know.
that literal
I wasn't
thought.
going to watch it.
Alex is waiting for my video.
I wasn't going to watch it.
No way.
I am waiting for Will's video. Yeah, it's funny that like I can call Will whenever I want, but I still wait for his morning update videos, especially when there's like a big piece of news or some monumental piece of data that's coming out. But Will, the other analysis that I saw was just exactly what you said, no rate cut, obviously, but then the rest of it was like kind of dovish. Is that what they meant by that? Just that he still indicated that there was like the potential for a couple cuts later in the year, or was there?
Yeah,
something else?
potential for cuts later in the year. However, there are other little bits of data in there that I found to be a little concerning that Jerome Powell mentioned. But here's some of the things I haven't pulled up. So that's positive. Yeah, uncertainty has diminished around tariffs, but it's still elevated. So that was actually an improvement of the stance. So Fed have lowered the estimate for U.S. GDP growth in 2025 to 1.4%. And they think that inflation is going to get up to 3%. I'm not sure though, looking at this, if that's core CPI or regular CPI. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Fed look at core CPI and core PPI and core PCE, the three measurements of inflation, more than just regular. That is inflation minus the impact of energy and food, if you're looking just purely at CPI inflation. So they think inflation is going to go up. They think GDP growth is going to decrease, but still be positive at 1.4%. They are still looking at 2 rate cuts by the end of 2025. That's positive. Yada, yada, yada. Interest rate future increases likelihood of rate cuts beginning in September. So you could look at September for interest rates being cut, but they look at the U.S. economy basically hitting stagflation. Like 1.4% is basically just the U.S. economy like grinding to a halt, not decreasing, right? You want the U.S. GDP growth needs to be at like 2%, 2.2% for everyone to be like, hey, things are fine, like things are growing. So they do see us entering a potential period of stagflation, or at least getting closer to it, but we're still growing. So the Fed says that the U.S. economy is still in a pretty strong position as of right now, but there are some signs of weakness.
The modern CDN says, as boring as it sounds, this may be a normal bull run similar to 2017.
I heard, I don't know enough to like have an educated conversation about this, but I did hear a couple people kind of making that. Who was I just listening to? It might have been Gerard, actually, who was also saying the same thing.
Jeeps.
The last time I was talking to him was just that like the way that people are participating in the market this time is the same as the way that they were looking at it in 2017, and he had a lot more specifics and like data and things to support that claim. But I just thought it's interesting. I've heard that now from more than one person.
Well, what do they mean by that?
I think it was just like, so remember in 2017, like the rallying cry amongst everything was the institutions are coming, and it was very much Sir Lancelot in the beginning of
I remember that
Monty
in
Python.
2020. I don't remember that in 2017 though.
I just like eventually, like that was what we were doing. But a lot of it was driven just by tiny amounts of like spot retail buying. There wasn't really anything else happening. And then then the next cycle rolled through, and there was actually like not a lot of chatter, but a lot more like, okay, companies are starting to add this to the balance sheet. He was also talking about the amount of options trading, futures trading, leverage trading, and stuff like that was driving a lot more. Like there was a lot more effort to screw over people with open positions in different directions because a lot more publicity was given to that kind of stuff. And that type of trading was driving the market a lot more than back in 2017 when it was more spot purchasing. And now at this point, people are kind of getting back to more spot purchasing because of the tendency to just get absolutely hosed when you open a lengthy position. Everybody can see that it's there, and then you either get squeezed or liquidated or stopped out or whatever.
Yeah,
I've even the crux of it.
I've even seen people, including my barber, who was burned on Sneck, and
What? Which
he was
one?
burned on
The
Sneck,
Cardano
which is
meme coin?
the meme coin for Cardano, the main meme coin.
Yeah, Will's barber was like, hey, are you into cryptocurrency? And he was like,
He was cutting my hair, and I was like, oh, buddy, we got some.
When I would have been like, no, tell me more about it.
Yeah, oh, that would have been good too. But yeah, he got burned on Sneck.
Sometimes that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Sneck.
But then he was like, yeah, man, I think I'm just gonna I'm gonna keep my Sneck, and if it goes back up, great. And I'm just gonna start buying Bitcoin. And I was like, okay. And then I've seen other comments of people who are like just kind of tired. And I'm like, oh, you've gotten tired? They're like, I'm so tired, Will. I'm like, are you ready to buy Bitcoin? And like, I'm finally ready, Will. And I'm like, okay, here you go. Here you go. Yeah, get into the Bitcoin line.
Yeah.
You're safe here. You're safe.
Yeah.
Shh.
Safe here. I'm always like, I don't understand a lot of times where people are like, if you get into crypto because you like need money, you're in the wrong place. Like you need a job, and then you can get into crypto. Like, I'm sorry, maybe that's the mom in me, but like and maybe you don't tell your audience this, but I certainly do, that like this is not a place to come unless you want to be a professional trader. And I'm sorry, but there's just not that many. There's quite a few professional traders, but some that like actually have a massive portfolio and are able to like live on that. Like that's very rare. So people just need to understand that listen to your mom, that you need a job, you need
Listen to your
cash
mom.
flow, whatever that is. You could be a content creator. Like Evan and I had a heart to heart a couple weeks ago where I was like, what have I been doing with my life? Like, should I just be a content creator? Like, should I just get paid to laugh? Like, that just sounds so bizarre.
Sounds so
But
nice.
it's
Mhm.
just so
Bullish.
silly. Or like Ogle shirtless lumberjacks. Like
You could do worse
need
things with your time.
That's what I'm going for.
Right.
That's my backup. That's my backup OnlyFans. I'm just gonna be like
Backup.
splitting woods, and then the inside of the wood will be like the meme coin that I buy that day.
Like, as you were. So it's
I'm
you know.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Okay,
Me
all
too.
right.
But it's
I
not.
might- I
We
might-
do
me
say
too.
that. We do say that to our audience, though, Brooke. We try
Yeah.
to say that and
Yeah.
tell a better story about, like, listen, you really, if you are here looking to get rich quick, you almost certainly will get
Right.
wrecked. And a lot of people, when they say,
Right.
"Hey, how do I start with crypto?" Mostly what they mean is, or they say the number one question is like, "How do I trade crypto?" And mostly what they
Yeah.
mean is like, "I want to use crypto because I think it can make me rich." And what they're sharing with you is this
Right.
sort of like assumption they have that in order to achieve that, I must be some sort of high velocity trader here. And I like to tell people
Right.
like, no. Crypto is going to be so much more than currency the way your smartphone does so much more than calls. And much of it will
Right.
have nothing to do with money. But like understanding that that's the most notorious use case now, learning about it, getting involved. I always try to tell people like you can become a user of crypto. That's what I think.
Right.
It sounds like, it's a weird connotation. I'm a user, man. But you know what I mean? Like, are you a crypto user? That's what I always
Yeah.
ask.
No, it's
And
it's
there's a
interesting
big
too.
thing too for like, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say that I had the conversation with one of our friends,
No,
Ken
you go.
Suna, who's not necessarily into crypto, aware of it. I think has some Bitcoin, but is just like he teaches investing principles, investing foundations, and basic financial literacy surrounded by investing. He's been a professional day trader for 15 years, makes his
Yeah.
full-time living that way, but also has a gigantic investment portfolio and teaches all that kind of stuff. And we were just kind of talking about how, the idea, as we alluded to earlier, the idea of like getting rich quick will draw a lot of people in. If you're staring at a number of options that are on their face bad, then even bad choices seem like good choices. And so it can make sense to like over leverage yourself into crypto because you've heard and seen that it really worked out really nicely for a few people. And I always like to say, like, be careful
Right.
of people who hold up an example of luck and present it to you as if it is wisdom and then sell you something based on that instance of luck. And I just think like you walk in with delusions of grandeur and how easy this is going to be because all of it's going to be great someday and we're sitting on the precipice of a revolution. And then have very little like understanding because we all got done super dirty by the public education system in this country. I think I got 2 pieces of financial literacy training in my entire like first 18 years of schooling. And one of them was checkbook balancing. And the other one was like, this is vaguely what a stock is, but really only in the sense that like you can buy and sell them. And that was kind of the extent of it. So I think that piece is just missing. Cause I mean, you can't, crypto's not an investment in the overwhelming majority
Right.
of the case, right? It's a venture style bet, which is fine. But like you got to go in with a venture capitalist mindset. And if we don't even know what investing is, then we can't be venture capitalists at the same time. It just doesn't work that way.
There is such a vicious cycle. And by the way, I was totally joking. There's no lag. Like I was just talking over him because I'm an asshole. I think there's this like vicious cycle of like I can hear you fine. I'm just old. A couple things. So when we talk about like generations also, yes, I was talking about being older. And I think the older audience can understand this as well, that like, I will always say Gen X we had it the best, meaning like we literally had nothing. Like I know millennials feel this way as well, and that's fine. I'll give you that. But like it was our formative years that all of a sudden we were taking typing class and, computer class, and everything happened for us, high school, early college, and then it just blew up. So it was that particular time that all of this stuff was happening. And so I think when we were in grade school and junior high, we were learning those things. Education was different back then. It's like something switched, when I think when you guys got to high school, or like whenever the millennials were high school, college, things just sort of switched. Because I remember home ec, we had, we had finance classes. We were learning about like checkbooks, banking, that kind of stuff. I remember it vividly, being like, this is so cool. Like, this is how you live your life. And, that
That's
kind of
awesome.
stuff. Things were so different. There wasn't even phones, we didn't have cordless phones until I was in junior high. Like,
Yeah.
it was on the wall, like plastic phones on the wall. But the other part of it too is like that entire like investor mindset. You have to look at this as anything we do in the crypto world, or NFTs, or anything like that, where you're putting your money in and you're hoping that number go up, is a very separate thing than like being an operator in Web3. So I come from the tech world, and it just kind of like went from one thing to the next. And like in software development, it is a very specific change from Web 2 to Web 3. It was adopted, that like phrasing was adopted by this, like community, this like group that we're all in. They're like, what do we call this? We're going to call it Web 3. But the actuality is, in the tech world, it is the third iteration of the internet where there's ownership. And so like, we should be talking about what happened at the beginning was blockchain technology. It was, not mutually exclusive. The, Bitcoin white paper came about because of 2008, but the fact that blockchain had to be figured out for that to happen. And now there's also this piece of like investing in companies that are implementing blockchain technology, even just Web 2 companies that even maybe like blockchain, just decentralized storage, and the things that are going to be, the infrastructure of that company. Those companies are going to be valuable in the future. So like sometimes like looking at it, from a 30,000 foot view, I always say square foot, 30,000 square foot view. That's not right. That like you see it all, there's money to be made as an operator. I say operator, like marketing,
Sure.
in tech, all
In a
of the
job.
things that we can do in a job, and then take that money and make that money work for you and make money for you. So we just always have to like come back to, they're not mutually exclusive. There's, cash flow, and then that cash flow should move into vehicles that are going to make you more money, but not to come into crypto going, because you're absolutely right. Every time I talk about it with people, like, what do you do? Or, I travel all the time. So I'm in Ubers all the time. And they're like, oh, you travel for work? And I'm like, yeah, what do you do? I'm in tech. I don't even get into it anymore because like, oh, I speak at conference, I do this and that. And they're like, cool. Like, what crypto should I buy? And it's like, we don't have enough time, sir. Like, we don't have enough time for this conversation. So I just think there's so many underlying like, things that have to be talked about before people, like you guys are doing it. That's exactly what you're doing, is educating people on the basics, and then how can this benefit your life in general. But this is not a 100x, 1000x. That's just luck.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
for
we
coming to
really
my
do
TED
try to
Talk.
help people find ways to plug into that, in terms of if you want to work here, if you want to be a founder, if you want to become a better investor, if you want to be a trader. People love that Will can make sense of like the macro mess. Alex and I just smile and look pretty, but they also appreciate that we can break down and help them understand like what actually is a blockchain. Do I need to know that, or how can I just start sending stable coins to my folks back home? Like, that's going to be so huge. We've had a lot of comments this week in light of the Genius Act, in light of different stuff. We had William Quigley, who's a co-founder of Tether, on the show last week, and he's predicting just the use of stable coins. He said that's easily a 10 to 15 trillion dollars in market cap by itself once everybody gets here. It's going to be huge, and it's mostly not going to have anything to do with like weird speculative stuff. But speaking of weird speculative stuff,
it's true.
I know that you're going to New York City next week. Are you going to permissionless? Are you going to NFT NYC? Are you hanging out with friends? Are you giving any talks? What are you doing, and what are you excited for there?
There's so many things to say. So I've never been a fan of NFT New York. First of all, New Yorkers don't say NYC, so that's number one. So
Correct.
I've always had a hard time saying like NFT NYC because that's just not a thing. And I went to the very first one. Or no, I wasn't even at, I can't even remember. It was 2022. I think I was just in New York for it. So I have only been one time 2 years ago to the conference, and I crashed it. I didn't even have a
there
ticket.
at the same time.
What I don't like, and I thought we got rid of this, but I just saw a post. This girl was like, yeah, I was invited to speak at a conference and they wanted me to pay and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I thought we left that in 2022 because like, you know, yes, there's of course like permissionless and consensus and all these different things, you know, big companies will pay to be on a specific stage. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
But in these small, you know, like NFT conferences and things that are very obscure, you know, that's not how it should work. You don't ask these, you know, KOLs or these content creators to come and speak about something and say, oh, well, it's good for your brand if you just pay us the $1,000. And so I think that was a little tricky. So they've asked, because I've been one where people approach and I'm like, I'm not paying to speak. Are you kidding me?
That's
I've been
gross,
speaking on
yeah.
stage
Yeah,
since the
it
90s
sucks.
about tech. Like, it's gross. So I just also don't feel like, you know, spending any time or money. And I've sponsored things before with my company. And so I would not go to the actual conference. Any of the like the NFT LA was worse 2 years ago where they were charging people 10 grand just to speak. And I'm like,
Ugh.
I think speaking at conferences and like on panels, I've spoke on a lot of them, especially women in Web3 panels. Just kidding. I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but
Yes.
my
I was
viral
gonna
video.
quick side
have
note
you comment on that one.
Is if you go to Brooke's
Side note.
X account is probably the fastest place to find it. X.com/Brooke Lacey.
Yeah,
You'll find
it's
the
my
pinned tweet there. I would play it tonight, or we're having a weird audio routing issue, but it's a fantastic take on.
Is it my fault?
No, it's not.
No,
it's not your fault.
It's Evan's fault.
It's probably it's the
Oh,
universe's
we can't
fault.
hear it?
No, we
Oh,
could.
dude.
I'd have to, but you'd have an echo. I could play it for you like a one. But what I'd like you to do is tell me
I'll
instead.
just take my thing out.
You know what's no. Everyone's gonna get an echo.
Okay,
It'll be a terrible
I'll tell
experience. I'd rather you tell me what inspired this video.
TLDR. Okay. Again, I'm 49 years old. It's been hard for me to say that number, by the way. Like, I feel like I just started
respect
saying
that.
it the other day. Because if we think about it, guys, let's take a moment. It's really not my 49th year. It's the other number.
Oh no! No.
It's so sad. But you know what? If I look this good at this age, I'm good. I'm
Right,
fine.
you're good, girl.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're killing it.
you look wonderful.
Fine. People think I'm like 30, and I'm like, cool. Maybe that's just my immature personality. So it all boils down to, I've been in tech for a very long time. Like, I was in computer science college in 1994, and back then it really wasn't like, oh, it's a guy's thing or it's a girl's thing, and it just wasn't like that. We were all just really excited about computers, you know, like it was all new to us. We were all like in the computer. So like this is a new thing, this whole like get more women into whatever. And you know, I'm sure I can be canceled at any moment for this kind of stuff, but I never really understood that people would ask me to come speak at a conference here locally in Idaho called Hack Fort, and talk about being a woman in tech. And so I would never turn it down. I would just go, and then I would just talk about whatever I wanted. And I would mention like, you know, it's just like being a man in tech. I'm not sure if what you're asking me to talk about is like discrimination as a woman, because you should just ask me to talk about that, which to that I will say, I have not experienced that. And I will tell you why. I have not experienced it because I don't give a shit. Like, I don't know if it's the Gen X in me, because I just don't give a shit. Like, I have never been treated poorly by men in tech. I think it's an outside construct. It's people who like see it as, oh, there aren't very many, you know, women in computer science. I'm like, well, there's not very many men in nursing. So what are we talking about here? It's a preference. Like, it's not because it's more difficult or it's some sort of like societal thing. It's just a preference. More men prefer tech than women. It's not like some conspiracy. So that was it. It's always been a thing. And then it was New York 2023 or whenever, when there was all these women in Web3 panels. And then when I first got into Twitter from Clubhouse, it was all these like women in Web3 Twitter spaces and like women, NFT projects. And it really wasn't a huge deal to me because I'm like, that's just all the time. Like, this is not new. Trust me, guys, it's not new. I'm telling you, for the last 20 years, I've been asked to speak on being a woman in tech. Like, guys, it's just calm down, everybody. And I'm sure that is not to take away from the women who have experienced that. It's just me personally, I can say, like, it's just not a thing. I just don't think it's a thing. So I spoke on not one or two, but 3 women in Web3 panels in New York, and it was a joke. Like, it's just a joke. And we were all laughing about it. And I have some very close girlfriends in, I say the industry, not this space, because it is an industry, that we just laugh about it. So I thought, okay, I've got to do this video. Most of my videos are not the 2-person, back and forth.
Yeah, the skit.
Because it's hard. Those are really hard.
It is hard.
They're funny as hell.
They're a lot of fun,
and they're really fun. They are difficult. I have a couple of those on my TikTok, but it definitely takes a lot longer than me just sitting in my car, or talking to my kid about mining crypto that took me 30 seconds and has 1 million views. Like, why would I do the other one? You know what I mean? But they are fun. So I set it up in this Airbnb, like I had, 2 of going back and forth. And if you screw up and you need to like go refilm, you're fucked because you have to like reset everything. Anyway, so I had all these ideas, like, WAGME actually stands for women are going to make it. And like, it just all came together so beautifully. But I will tell you this, fun fact, the video, when I had it first edited, it was about 1 minute, 20 seconds, maybe 1 minute, 25. And those jump cuts were not as clean and sharp as they are now. I remember sending it to my friend and she's like, it's not funny. Like, I get what you're trying to do here. And the things that you say are funny, but it's too long. And I was like, fuck it then. I'm not doing this, And so it almost didn't happen. But I got it down to like 55 seconds, and those jump cuts and the facial expressions. Whenever I tell people like, what's the secret about, doing video content, exaggerate your facial expressions. Well, fortunately, that's how I look all the time. So it wasn't difficult, but it's pretty much me saying, so what's the panel about? And then the other girl said, well, it's a panel of all women. And I think the audience is going to be women and the moderator is going to be women, talking about women of Web3. And then the other person's like, cool. And I think part of it I'm saying like, so is it like blockchain development? Is it community building?
Right.
What's the topic? And that's when the other girl says, no, it's just a panel about women in Web3.
Just women in
and
Web3.
Then,
and you're just like, hey,
Jackie
I am a
actually
woman.
stands for-
I am in Web3. Thank you for coming to the speech. I work here.
Right. Like
Yeah.
what? That's what I'm trying to say is like, what is it you're trying to ask me to talk about? That it's like difficult to be a woman in Web3? Like, I think people need to understand that it's actually a benefit. It's benefit to be a woman, and a smart one, and an articulate woman in a world that doesn't have a lot of women, because you can stand out, you can be an example, you can do all the things you want to do, and you can demand more respect because there aren't very many of you in the industry that you're in. So why are we making it a bad thing or a difficult thing? Because I've never found it difficult.
Have you ever gotten an answer
there you
from
go.
someone when you, if you've ever pressed anyone who organizes a panel like that, just like, what all do you actually want out of this? Because I'm sitting here trying to think, like, because I've seen a few of those talks, and it's always it's always exactly what you say. It's just like a round robin of people saying that they've had a hard time, and then it's over, or then we talk about something completely unrelated, and I don't know, it's like,
what's your experience being a woman in Web3? And people are like, like I'm not.
You're right.
Against...
My hair gets in the way of the computer sometimes. What do you
right,
want from me right now?
Right. I don't get it. Like, are men like why? First of all, why would men be okay? Hold on. It just gets me so riled up. So the talks that I would do at these like local tech little conferences, little like events and stuff. So in Idaho, I've been here. I've traveled full time, but lived in Idaho for 20 years, Chicago before that. But in Boise, in Idaho, Micron is here, which they are the manufacturer of all the chips that are in every one of your cell phones. So big tech company here. And so I have a bunch of friends who run teams there. And so I'd always have my guy friends come with me to these conferences. And I'd be like, here are some of the gentlemen who run teams at these huge tech companies. And let me have you tell them, or tell the audience what you think about all this. And they're like, we want to hire women. Where are the women? Like, no one's applying for the jobs. So how can we possibly treat you poorly if you're not applying for the jobs? Like, it was a joke, right? Like, we can't treat you poorly because you don't apply for the actual jobs. And I don't know why you wouldn't. So that's what I think about. Like, these nerdy guys that I've been around since the 90s wouldn't hurt a fly. Like, they would never treat women poorly. I would imagine being a woman in finance is so much harder because these finance bros, you got to have a thick skin. But tech nerds, like, they're like brothers, they're the greatest. So I just don't understand it at all. Like, where did this even come from? So yes, I've asked before, like, what is it you're looking for me to talk about? That there's some sort of discrimination? Like, have I been, passed over for jobs? I've probably gotten jobs because I'm a woman. So it doesn't make sense. And so then they do get to thinking, like, I'm not sure why I'm asking you to talk about being a woman in tech. So yeah, I haven't gotten a good answer.
Yeah. It seems like such a wasted opportunity.
Take away from, yeah.
It seems like a wasted opportunity to have someone like you on a panel and then make it about like that.
You better
like,
finish that sentence.
Yeah, I've joked to Alex sometimes. We have a lot of friends and colleagues. Some of our favorite friends and colleagues are women in tech, women in finance. Yeah. And we've had a lot of guests on the show who happen to be women. As three like straight white guys, we're pretty cognizant of like, well, how can we invite all kinds of people from all walks of life? Because our audience is very diverse. But we also, I've said to Alex, dude, wouldn't it be great if we called, Lindsay and Larissa, and now I'll say we call Brooke and we call our friend Evan McMullen, and we just ask them to do a panel, all these women we know, and we don't have to say anything about it. We know all these wonderful, great, and then maybe we could invite some of those people who produce like a women in Web3 panel and be like, hey, I heard you were looking for women. We're not gonna probably talk about it too much. They might, because they are women, but did you know they're also founders and investors and technically brilliant and business developers? Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's a wasted opportunity to pick your brain.
It is. It's a completely wasted opportunity. And this is another thing too, like, Evan, when we were talking and I was having this like existential crisis, is like, I want to be known for my tech experience. Like, I went to graduate school for cybersecurity. So I have this, but forward facing, people like to listen to me laugh. So it's a little bit of a like existential crisis for me all the time, which is like, is that really what I want to do with my life? Is laugh on like, if there's no substance to it, but there is, because it makes people happy. And I go back and forth. I'm a little crazy. I wish that I wasn't. I wish I was like blissfully stupid, because then I could just do this stuff and like make a bunch of money, and for me, it's a constant like, but I really want to, be a software developer, and I really want to like do these really tech smart things. But also I realize that like there's a gift that you need to give to the world, which is like making people laugh or teaching them or, whatever the case is. So, I will keep making people laugh. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
you could do some more techie in the weed kind of content or educational content, but like every 5 or 7 seconds has to immediately cut to like a quick laugh that lasts for a quarter of a second and then go back to it. It's like just like
Jarring.
rehooks people with jars them back into
Just
in
gonna
with
be like,
dopamine.
"Who's this crazy lady?" Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Watch that get 2
I
million
think that's
views.
what I tried to do with the actual videos is like half of them are, tech stuff and been struggling the last couple of weeks because I'm like resurrecting a TikTok after getting 300,000 followers is tough when you get like 300 views. So it's a little tricky right now.
Well,
for me,
may I
'cause I'm like,
recommend a really crappy looking
Please.
dolphin costume?
yeah.
It's
You
wonderful.
got to read her into the joke, Will.
Yeah, so my
No
last
context. That's a weird ass.
that's a weird ass joke. Yeah. So
Also,
my,
shout out to DeWoofy who said, "I heard you were looking for women" is a wild line, and I'm
yeah,
right.
I
Yeah,
heard
it
you
is.
were looking for women.
Sorry about that.
So my TikTok account is coin_guide, but it's broken right now, and I'm trying to get TikTok to bring it back to life. So I made a new TikTok account that is
Because
called
of the crypto thing?
no. So actually, I was the target of an extortion ring who wanted money from me, and then mass created robots to attack my account, and then got it reported
Just
banned.
like Mac?
just like
Mac.
and about 30 other people too.
Mm-hmm.
It's been going around. So honestly,
going
maybe it's because
around.
you're laying low.
I didn't know until I saw Mac his video, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was like, is that happened to you too? And I'm
Yeah.
worried that that's gonna happen to me if
Yeah,
I keep doing crypto content.
I think their pace is starting to slow down because we're becoming more organized, and some people paid and never got their accounts
Oh.
back, and now everyone's
Right.
finally that out. So like the jig is up. Everyone knows that like they don't have any teeth in terms of like actually being
Right.
able to like get you unbanned. So you just have to get in line at TikTok
Right.
support and hope it gets sorted out eventually. So I had to make a new account, and I was like, damn,
Gotcha.
I post a crazy amount of content.
Will is a machine.
Yeah.
And I've slowed down recently, but still, slow down for me is like 4 or 5 videos a day. I used to be making somewhere between like 7 to 10. On Halloween,
Right,
I made
right.
15 or 16, all in different costumes. So,
Wow.
yeah, I make a
Follow
lot of
you
content.
immediately. Do I have a phone? Oh, I
look,
can just do
well-
that on here on my.
There
Oh,
So
you go.
the pinned videos
sorry.
are
The
going to
live
be weird.
on TikTok is crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to make this new account, and it only has 3,000 followers right now, which honestly is kind of fun because I'm like, oh yeah, I gained like 10 followers, whereas before I had like 70,000 followers, and I'm like only 10 followers. So like now it's like fun. Anyway, but I was like, damn, because I made so much content at such a rapid pace every single day. There are more robot accounts trying to scam people pretending to be me than maybe anyone else on TikTok, and on the crypto TikTok at least. And so I was like, damn,
Yeah.
I need to make an account that when people see it, they're like, oh shit, based on just seeing it immediately, this has to be a new video. So there's an inside joke in the community of like me doing a dolphin noise along with like that's it right there. That goes with a specific technical indicator. And I did it for a while, and then it went away, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do. So I had already pre-purchased a really crappy dolphin costume because I have a ton of costumes. And I was like, I'll wear this dolphin costume.
Are you
and I'll
a furry?
No.
He's
but
Like a slippery.
It's a slippery. Correct. But no, but for the joke, we'll go with yes. I'm a slippery. And so I donned this really crappy dolphin costume that I think I got from Amazon for $22. And I started making videos, and it immediately broke me out of like 300 TikTok jail. Immediately videos were doing, multiple thousand, 10,000 views and stuff for, first couple videos or whatever. And then it was immediately just like the amount of engagement was through the roof. So it lasted for about a week and a half. Wait, is that my,
Talk about a good face card. Should we talk about the face card here?
Right.
oh, the profile page right there?
I don't know if you've heard this, William. Somebody told me that because I'm like, oh, I do all this different content. And they're like, yeah, but your face card. I'm like, what? I guess that's something the kids are saying now. That like, if you're a good looking person,
Mm-hmm.
I
you
got
do
a good face card. Okay, cool.
Will does
Face
have a
card.
hell of a face card.
Will is
That's what I'm
pretending that we
saying, and I
don't call
said
him
that to
pretty
Evan, like,
every
if you
day of
look
his
at
life.
Thanks, man.
the whole grid, it's like, ooh, I like that.
Oh, thanks, Brooke. Appreciate
good.
that.
You're welcome.
Even dressed like a blue banana.
Even when I'm dressed like a blue banana that is technically a dolphin if you looked at it from the side.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, even though
it will
your
never
face is there.
It'll never get old. The best comment in social media happened from one of those videos. Will is talking about the Bitcoin chart or something, and this comment on this video is just, why the fuck is this blue banana giving me financial advice? And
to which I replied, sir, I am a dolphin.
Sir.
I just said, that's a very good question.
Yeah, a valid question.
Did you even like refer to yourself as a dolphin, or you just were in the costume talking about the chart and that was it?
There was enough like backhistory. I'm like, hey, if this is the first time you seeing me in a dolphin costume, here's the reason why. And then people loved it. And then if you go on my pinned videos, I did make a skit video where I'm saying goodbye and retiring the dolphin costume. And that's where my profile page comes from, where I am in a full bathtub eating goldfish while Under the Sea plays in the background.
This is what people are missing nowadays.
I know, right?
I think I do need to maybe get a couple of costumes. Maybe do some cosplay.
Right? I
like,
think
no
so.
one needs to see that. But
absolutely, I think it would be great.
The people need
some
it.
of my favorite TikTok accounts are things. Have you seen? There's a Kermit the Frog TikTok account where somebody's got this Kermit the Frog puppet.
Oh, it's so
and they've
good.
got this like lady Kermit puppet.
Crash Out Kermit.
Crash Out Kermit. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! If you haven't seen this, you gotta look
It's
this.
so good.
He's always on like a co-live, and on the other side of the live is like a lady frog who's got like a stripper pole, and there's like music playing in the background, and the lady frog is like dancing, doing crazy stripper moves, and the Kermit puppet is always like throwing money at the camera or like drinking and like passing out, and it's just I can't believe this app is free.
I've watched Kermit die and then be refrigged back to life to then go back to like just drinking again. And you're just like, Kermit, no, pick healthier life choices.
I have never been so invested.
Oh my
in anything.
God.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I'm really into right now, you guys, is SB mowing.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Is
SB
so
mowing's
good.
great.
And power washing.
What?
Yeah.
I do like power washing, but the cutting the grass down,
It's good.
I watch it going to bed now because it like soothes me, and I don't even have the sound out. Well, because he doesn't really take the sound off, so it's like sped up to like 8x, and it's like, and you're like, dude, just mute it. You know? Love you, guy, but I get that he probably just uploads it and just, you know, I'm not even gonna edit this kind of thing, but it's the best.
You know, he's been arrested twice.
Model.
He's been arrested twice doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For like noise complaints and shit.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, you can't do
he's trying to clean up your fucking neighborhood.
Yeah, like what? And then one was, like that person actually owed money to the state and was owing money each day if they didn't get their lawn mowed. And like, so you couldn't do it for free. And the guy's like, it's their private property. Like what? Like, what are you talking about? So he got arrested for that. Yeah. It's crazy.
So dumb. It's the most relaxing, like satisfying thing. Whew.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do want to put a quick capstone. Everyone, my new TikTok account is dolphin_coin_guide. If you're here on TikTok, that is, you can just click this profile right here and give me a follow. I'd appreciate it.
And if you're not on TikTok, you're listening in podcast land, you'll have to check out YouTube for the screen share so you can get this nice zoomed in picture of Will just guzzling goldfish in the bathtub. Is there water? There's water in that bathtub.
Of course there is. Dolphin was retired and enjoying his retirement, so he has to be in water. I had one comment that was like, I need the post. I need the post of this video of you getting out of the tub, just like soaking wet in this. It was hilarious.
There were I was going to ask you, like, how did you have to like leave it in the water and then like squeeze it out, or were you like in it?
I stood in the tub for a while, and then luckily I had a bag of goldfish, so it was just, and then the water went down, and then I had to go from like my back and just like squeeze it out because that thing's like a sponge, and then I got out and just kind of like let it hang in the bathroom, which is also funny because my bathroom curtain is a picture of Jeff Goldblum holding a monkey, so it just like looked really weird. It just looked really weird. Yeah. There's also a big poster.
I'm gonna need you to go get that right now and show us right this minute.
Oh yeah, I mean I can do it.
Take
I can do it on TikTok.
camera with you.
Take the phone in there.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
Take
this
the
thing.
phone in there
Oh,
immediately.
I won't be able to hear you guys for a second. So
That's
gonna-
okay. We're
Okay.
gonna talk shit about
That's
you.
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna I'll
Whatever
give
you
a quick
gotta do,
commercial.
Will.
I'm gonna let everybody know that usually we talk about crypto, and we will continue to talk about crypto. If you've got a crypto question, don't.
Sometimes
hesitate.
there's crypto.
Sometimes there's crypto, but always there's a lot of
We talked
fun.
a lot about crypto.
We have
This is
talked
a lot
of
of fun,
crypto.
Evan.
It is a lot
I'm
of fun.
so
Thank
glad you had me do this.
Okay,
Lately, I've been
here,
getting back to it, so I appreciate you.
here we are. We're in Will's bathroom.
Oh my
God.
What?
Oh, no. Oh my God.
I was gonna say one of us needs to hold the phone. Wait, go back. Oh my God.
Everybody
Oh my
in podcast
God.
land, you just gotta go to YouTube and see this. It is
You gotta go over to
like a
TikTok.
portrait of Jeff Goldblum. It is not just like a
That
picture. It's
is
like a portrait.
incredible.
That's
Just
That's quite
stand there,
something.
William, if you can hear us. Just stand for a moment. Nope. Okay. He can't hear us.
He needs to get that autograph. Solemn Spartan says, "Yeah, that's what we need."
First of
I
all,
did
I
not
want to know: is William does he live with a partner?
a woman. Yes.
William,
Yeah.
do you have people?
A regular woman.
So this
Yeah.
was approved, like a regular. I never
No,
know
she
how
was-
to
no,
ask.
no, no,
A
she-
man,
she
a
was-
woman.
My girlfriend was like, "We're gonna replace this," and I was
Right.
like, "Yeah, sure, baby. No, makes total sense. I'm totally on board to replace it." And then
Yeah.
like she just like whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly,
No,
in the
I can
bathroom, she was
guarantee
like,
she's into it.
I'm gonna." Violet's my girlfriend's name, and Violet was like, "Yeah, I want to do a few other things in the bathroom." I was like, "Okay, can I just put like a couple silly things in there?" She's like, "Sure." So I put like 2 silly things in there. I was like, "Cool. This entire wall here, we'll do some other things," and then we just spent like way more money on other stuff. And there was a bunch of empty space. And so I was like, "Hey, baby, can I just fill the space?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." So I was like, lobster, Pokemon. And now I have ordered Sir Pogmahoin, who is a knight that will replace my toilet paper dispenser. And there will be a knight that is holding my toilet paper. His name will be Sir Pogmahoin.
Today's deep dive into Will's bathroom, his slippery habits and tendencies, is sponsored by Polygon.
It is.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Wait, I love
Your
this comment from
support.
DeWoofy. DeWoofy. Oh my God, a woman. Evan was looking for a woman.
Yes, Alex, you are right. The show is in fact powered by Polygon, which seems time to
Sorry.
say Polygon. I just got to know why, and you, why? How could you hang out with us? You could be doing anything else with your time, but we really do appreciate that you're here. I know, Brooke, you got to get going in a little bit. Will, you got to get going in a little bit. So I'd like to get maybe some final thoughts from you. I haven't even asked about this, Brooke. We didn't talk about it the other day, but
Yeah.
I see in your profile that you've got DeDevsClub. And I was kind of wondering if you would tell us about that. And also, since we touched on the conference a little bit, like, are you going to be there? Are you going to be giving
yeah.
a talk?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
hang
yeah.
out with you? What's the best party?
Yes,
That kind of stuff. So tell us
absolutely.
that. Tell us DeDevsClub, and we'll get a final thought from you. In
Yeah. Because I started in on the whole like conferences shouldn't be charging money and whatever. But
Forget
permissionless, I'm obsessed with. So I will be at permissionless. Probably doing some content there, but really just like learning and seeing some people, and then quite a few events. I'm only going to be there Tuesday afternoon through Friday night, which seems
Okay.
like a lot, but when you're in New York and you're all at different places, it's not a lot of time. So yeah, I'm going to make sure that I'm. Are you going to to the?
I am going to be mostly
NFT
at
in
permissionless,
New York?
helping our friends over at Aptos
Oh,
get some
perfect.
content. But I'm
Then I'll
going to
see you
be
there.
hanging out at Stellar. I'll be hanging out with wherever there's stuff. I am going to be doing a talk
Yeah.
at a not NFT NYC. We have some friends who are doing
Oh,
that
yeah.
conference, and they asked me to participate in a talk, so I said I would. So I'll be around mostly in Industry City, but I'll be there. It's looking like Monday to Saturday, so I'll
I'm so
definitely
jealous.
get at you.
Cool. Yeah,
Major FOMO.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
New York's always the best. I did recently have pretty major foot surgery. So when I was in Bitcoin Vegas, I thought I was gonna be able to get like a little scooter thing. And so it was it was bad. Like my foot was so swollen. And anyway, so I'm like, I'm gonna have to really coordinate this time a little better. Cause I'm just like, I'm fine. And my surgeon's like, you're not So like you're still recovering. It was pretty major. So I may be places, I may not, because I don't know how long
Gotcha.
I'll last, but we will definitely see you at permissionless. I am not speaking. I kind of like let that go a year or so ago, where it was like I'm just I was burnt out on it, like
Done a lot of
constantly
speaking.
just done a lot of speaking, and I kind of like being like under the radar and like hearing what other people have to say. Just like today, I didn't want to read anything, so I just waited for William to tell me. So like, yeah, I just like wait to see what other people are doing, and I like to support everybody else. Like nobody wants to hear me talk on women in Web3 panels anymore. So
now I kind of do
so
want to
right
see
now-
one of those panels.
Now I do. I just want to like see how angry you become.
Wait, I was going to tell you that one of the funniest things was there was one panel at an offshoot little event at that New York one, which was I think 2023, maybe 22, I can't remember. So it all runs into each other. And I was moderating, and then my friend Jen Stein was sitting next to me. A girl had taken a picture of Jen and then posted that picture, and she didn't know me. The friend didn't really know me. Posted the picture under the Women in Web3 panel video saying like, look at Jen's face on this Women in Web3 panel. And I'm like, the funny part is I was moderating that sitting right next to her. And so it was this whole like inception thing. Like, yeah, we're all in this tiny little industry. So that was just a lot. I don't see it a lot anymore. So maybe I fixed it. Maybe my video is what fixed it all. And you're welcome. So I'm kind of like, I have my hands in all kinds of different things right now. And so my friend Valentina, who is a wildly smart developer, she's a DevRel engineer. I'm a DevRel evangelist advocate, which just means I'm not doing a lot of the programming. And so she has this product called DeDevsClub, and she's kind of built the whole thing out. We just submitted to a hackathon to really like push some funding forward. And so we're using the product called School, which is the educational platform. And I mean, this is all just now getting out there. She built it all, and now I'm coming in to like evangelize for it. So we're trying to pull together developers. The thing that happens with hackathons is developers, they want to be on a team, but they don't really know, how to get together on a team. I was on a hackathon team at ETH Denver, and you can go to like ETH Denver, ETH CC, or any of these hackathons and get on a team. But like, how do you find who you really gel with or you like really want to work with? So we're going to put that into here. We have some SDKs and some UI pieces that can be downloadable. And so we're kind of just really working through that. And just doing some educational stuff for developers. And it just leads into the fact that we're both DevRels. And that just means we want developers to be really successful. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's very cool. I look forward to seeing you there in New York, and I look forward to seeing what you do. Same. For people who are listening in podcast land, we're going to have the links to all that. It's x.com/DDevsClub, and the school link was right there in their bio, but it's school.com/devs. Very cool.
SKOOL.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. School, like Hormozy school. Very cool. We look forward to supporting.
Exactly.
And I thought maybe as a way to get a last thought from everybody, we got a really good question here. I know you saw it from Papa Aztec. They asked us, what are your top 3 DeFi projects? And I feel like, I don't know, I haven't done a tremendous amount of DeFi lately. It's very tough to answer that kind of question from a perspective of like what's here and what's likely to be here in 10 years. You could answer it that way. You could say what's exciting me right now. I don't do a ton in the trenches of DeFi, but I'd love to know. I think that's a great round robin question, and then we can get some final thoughts and ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset. So put yours in the comments if you're listening live. And Brooke, as our honored guest, I'll give you a minute to think about it, and I will put...
Oh, I don't need a minute.
Oh, no? Well, then as our honored guest, I'll let you go first. Top 3 DeFi projects. Tell us about them.
Katana is first for me. I will say that I was about to take a position with Katana, and it didn't go to anybody. Let's just put it that way. So I'm very heavily invested in what they're doing. So I think Katana in itself is there's more than just one thing. It's not like, oh, it's just Katana, because they have all that chain owned liquidity and, have all these different primitives that are opinionated. So I just like what Katana's doing. I love DeFi app. I was really into that. It's very gamified, and Aerodrome. I'm just a fan of the vote escrow, 3-3, all that stuff. So those are my 3 top. I would really get people involved in Katana.
What is DeFi app? We've talked about Katana a lot on the show. We had them on last week, but I've never heard of DeFi app.
So it was part of the Kaido thing that we got a part of. I'm now working with this company called Cock Media. Yes, hilarious. AVAX. The meme coin is Cock Inu, COQ. Okay, good. So Mikkel and Mike, who were in the comments earlier, so I'm doing some stuff with them, going with them to New York, and I love their vibe. Just love them. Lots of jokes there, got a little cock in you. That's just my vibe, right? It's funny.
It's pretty funny.
It's a little tricky, what is she it's COQ. So I found out about DeFi app from Mikkel when she was doing some other stuff with a different group, and you're in a faction, and so everything you do within that faction, just trading, just doing different stuff and staking different tokens and moving them across different chains and just fucking around and finding out, you're part of a faction, and then that provided with points and airdrop on a larger scale because you're doing it all together. So I just like their UI. They have a couple of different gamified pieces to it that is just fun. And I'm not a gamer. I like the gamified aspect to certain products.
What's the URL?
Just fun. DeFi.app.
DeFi.app. Okay, that's a new one for me. I'm gonna have to check it out. Will Watson, what about you?
And they do have a season 2 of
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, they have a season 2 of the airdrop. No, you go. No,
no, you go.
No. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Will, what about you? You got top 3 DeFi for us?
Yeah, well, everybody knows I'm a slut for DeFi. I always measure things by. I always have to say that. I always measure things based off of adoption, and the things that are getting adopted like crazy. Morpho over the past 2.5 years has been nuts. Love Morpho. Hyperliquid's adoption has been crazy.
Yeah.
Then also
100%.
And then Aerodrome. Also in the Solana ecosystem, Jupiter, great. Yeah, Jupiter, great. Radium, great. So those
Jupiter
two come
was
to mind
the
as well.
first airdrop, things. I got so much money, just here you go into your wallet. Love Jupiter.
Yeah, Jupiter is great. And then also in the Solana ecosystem, you have to mention Marinade too, and Jido is great too. But the 3 that come to mind, Morpho, just because it's across all those L2s. There's so much money in it, and I love what they do from a lending standpoint, balancing that scale between lending and borrowing so that you can actually get good rates continuously. And then Katana is obviously there on the radar. So again, I'm going to keep with my top 3. And then Katana is the most interesting.
I think you said
thing.
12.
You said 12, dude.
I said 3. I said
12.
3. I said 3, and then all the other ones are just things that I think are also wonderful. Like I said, I'm a slut for DeFi. I can't just hold myself to 3. Got to spread these legs open for all of them.
A whore.
DeFi whore. DeFi whore. And then, I'm very. I love
that could be a good. I could be the.
DeFi.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Could be the DeFi. I was like, no, I could be the DeFi. That could be my.
Right. No, but it could be a podcast name,
DeFi
whores. We could have a separate one that's real late at night.
Yeah,
the late show. Yeah.
I just walk on. I'm just cross-dressing in a red dress. Anyway, or some prostitute from GTA. This could be
Take
good.
me back to your top 3 DeFi, Will. Save me from myself.
Aerodrome,
Hyperliquid. You two.
Hyperliquid, and then I really want to keep my eyes on Katana because I think they're doing real unique stuff too.
Dang, okay, so almost identical lists there. Alex, what about you? Do you got top 3 for us?
Are you also a whore?
That's going on the soundboard.
Oh, that's perfect. Are
Flip
you
it.
also a whore?
Stall.
You've had so much
No.
time.
He's like,
I know.
oh.
Honestly, I would be a little bit boring, but also because it's crypto, this is a weirdly hot take, based on revenue. Who's killing it? Aave obviously gets a shout out because I use it every single day. That's one of those just like real easy to use whatever's. Morpho also gets a shout out because they're killing it. They're actually making, it's one of those weird crypto protocols that's like making money. I don't know. They're providing a service and people are paying them for it and they're making money and it's weird.
Yep.
Only three. I don't know. I'm a big fan of DeFi. It's hard to nail down to only three. I would say probably I'll keep it. If I was to keep it at three, I would keep it at Morpho, Aave, and then I would throw Marinade in there because the thing that interests me the most is just replacements for high yield savings accounts with more options that are tokenized. And so through Morpho, I can get exposure to a couple of other things. Like I'm a big Spark DAO fan and I am, delegating to or lending to, supplying to, I guess I should say, the Spark DAO vault through Morpho. Obviously, I am super excited about Katana as well. There's some interesting things there that I have not seen before and don't know that much about, so I'm looking forward to learning more about that. But the big one, Aave is so freaking easy. Of course, if I'm saying easy, then Anchor deserves a mention for being super easy to use too. My mom uses Anchor. Yeah, and then Marinade. Marinade was so freaking simple and easy, and it's the best native Sol APY that you can earn anywhere in the industry. So that's pretty sweet.
Okay,
Probably
so those are killer answers. Everybody's had really good answers tonight, and I'm just going to try and I will say, in terms of like my MVP right now, I just got to go ahead and give it out to Hyperliquid. Hype, the whole ecosystem is really. What are you going to say? Take it.
I was just going to say that I wanted to mention Hyperliquid too, but I don't really have much experience with it, so it would be.
I have a lot of indirect experience with it. I don't really trade like that. I'm not a scalper or perp guy or anything, but what they're doing to make they have the best liquidity and the best decentralized trading experience. Even though there's some questions about like, are they really decentralized? I just don't think anyone's close.
Well, I was just going to say that if people are curious more about Hyperliquid specifically, I'm very hopeful that we'll have Jen joining us soon. And she's on Twitter as DGen, letter D.
Oh, she's the best. I've known her since way before she even had like 100 followers. That girl is on point.
Leaving aside just the fact that she posts really good and insightful stuff, and I've learned a lot. She is so freaking talented. Her videos just look so
Her videos
good.
are. She's a professional videographer. I
but
always
like
have to
it's
remind myself
obvious.
that. Like,
I know it's not fair, but like
so much pride. Yeah,
they are
she's
so
very good. I agree. So
anyway,
good.
I'm hope save your Hyperliquid questions because
bullish
I'm working
on
getting Jen, dude, for sure. She's
Me
so
too.
Good.
I was not familiar with her work, and then Alex showed me. I was like, oh, she's clearly a pro. So excited to have her on the show. So Hyperliquid has got to be number one with a bullet for me at this very moment in time. I think they're, if I had a trophy, I'd give it to them. But I also want to use this time to like set that aside, and I'll say the top 3 DeFi projects I'm watching. I'm also going to set Katana aside because they'd be my close second in terms of like the mind share, the mastery of like what they're building, the newness of it. It was just a well-built, well-executed thing. Very excited about it. But I do want to take this moment to shout out maybe some like unsung heroes who don't get a lot of attention. I think a hot and upcoming protocol right now is Lombard. They are doing a lot to make people's Bitcoin DeFi'd. A lot of wrapped Bitcoin, a lot of CB Bitcoin, and they are like the protocol that might use Morpho or might use this or that. They're like a DeFi designer, like a Gauntlet, for example. Gauntlet maintains different kinds of DeFi strategy pools on lots of platforms. Also, shout out Gauntlet. If you don't know Gauntlet, they do great work. And Stakehouse would be in that pool too, that category too. They provide a lot of really great DeFi on a lot of platforms, but 2 up-and-comers, Shout out to Odyssey Finance. Our friend Jeff the Dunker, aka Green Jeff, has just taken it to beta. They've got a sort of like Fatstronaut campaign that's going to go live soon. He was formerly involved with Vesper Finance, Metronome Finance, and the play is to make DeFi, accessible. Some of the strategies that he takes advantage of is like a many cycle degen, but in a click, in and out. A lot of people are doing that. And the other one I want to shout out is PistachioFi. My friend Brian that we've had on the show, Smokovich, just also started doing wallets, signups, rollout. They've been really working hard to make this thing work. He's been working on it a long time. And the tag is Protect Your Nut. It's a really seamless onboarding experience. And I think you'll like it, Alex, because they really want to make it easy for people to like bring money on chain and get some yield for like stable coins, some other stuff. Like I say, a lot of people are taking a swing at this. Yeah, but it's the kind of thing I expect to see more of.
What's frustrating, Evan, is like what we were talking about with the Kaido stuff is like, this is the kind of content. This is why I got frustrated at the beginning, because like all these people who literally had just started posting on Twitter, all this stuff. I mean, it wasn't just 4-figure, 5-figure airdrops. It was mid 6 figures that these people were making for yapping that very beginning. Like, but yet we're all talking about this all the time for hours and hours, and there's really no way. It's not that they did this incorrectly, it's that they can't really scrape in an AI capacity how much mind share that we're giving out right now. But if you just think about the last 30 minutes, we have talked about all the things on the Kaido leaderboards, and yet we will get 0 yaps tomorrow.
We'll get nothing for it.
And it's a problem for me. So you guys, that was something I posted, like, I'm going to make the, Kaido of TikTok. It's nearly impossible. It's very difficult, or else they would have done it already.
Well, Kaido announced that they're coming to TikTok.
Yeah, but
we'll see how they did. Let's see how it goes.
I had a conversation with them about it, and I'm like, how are you doing it? Tell me how, because you can't, there's no API. There's no like scraping tool. There's just no way of doing it. They have a pro version. I know we got to be done. I can't believe I've talked for 2 hours. I'm very tired, but this was so fun. I'm so glad that we connected, Evan. I'm so grateful.
We've covered a lot of ground.
I'm so grateful because I was just tired, a couple weeks ago. I was like, I'm just tired, you guys. And like, this has just re-energized me. I think so many people need to like have this type of conversation, but yeah, so that was frustrating. Like, look, we've talked for 2 hours. You guys you're pumping out content, and these protocols don't know that because they're insulated in crypto Twitter. And it's like, look what's happening out here in the real world, essentially, is like with video content, with our faces, with not AI generated, with like actual conversations. So I hope that they can figure that out, and as I've made money with yapping about nothing.
Yeah.
This
and
is,
now you've got
more substantive.
You've got several people. I mean, I think we all mentioned Hyperliquid as an example, and like that would probably be a more valuable kind of endorsement, even though we talked about other protocols too, for Hyperliquid to get from all 4 of us in a long form conversation on many different channels than it would be for one person to just yap about it forever. Right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, monsters and machines, people and creatures of all ages, it's about that time. We're going to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset. So leave us a final thought, your last question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom. And let me tell you, I will tally up our points very quickly. Brooke, do you have time while I do?
Yeah.
To give us maybe a final thought after this? And then we'll get you out of here.
First of all, do I have 1.14 thousand
little
viewers?
Points? No, that's little points.
I have not. Oh, it's points.
We've got 74 viewers at this moment in time on TikTok. And that's pretty impressive considering, I think when we were talking about drugs in the Silk Road, we got like 3 violations back to back and suppressed from searches. But we probably had about 3,000 or 4,000 people come through TikTok tonight.
Yeah, you can't talk about drugs on TikTok, otherwise they suppress your life. But they're douchebags, so fuck them.
We're not worried about it.
I honestly had no idea. I'm sorry. You should have just.
No, it was a great conversation.
No, it was. I would never have sacrificed the conversation for TikTok's cute little policy.
It's a great story. I don't understand why why that's a thing. Like, I don't understand it.
You gotta talk to China.
Well, you know what it's very frustrating though is that it's honestly not even just that. Like I will go through and I will watch videos on this app, and there will be someone who is quite literally just like aggressively bullying people into over leveraging on some dumbass meme coin. You'll report it, and you'll get a, we didn't find any evidence of any kind of violation in here. And then I'll leave a comment on a video like that, just being like, this is ridiculous. And I'll get flagged for that comment and get like a strike on my account. It's just like, okay.
Or all the Brooke J. Lacey clones that some of them, have. Yeah. Oh, somebody just put something on my face.
They gave you an Elvis gift. Yeah.
Those are the gifts.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're great. There's some really
everybody
good
send Brooke your favorite gifts as like a final thought to her if you've got some, because some of them are extra funny. You might get a fire breather. Solemn is our resident gifting champion. And you
left.
Well, there
that one's a good one. She's got the cowboy hat and mustache. I love that one.
Somebody screen record this, and I'll be like, ice cream so good. Ice cream so good.
I thought you were gonna say somebody scream like a DJ or something.
No, like the girls that did like the NPC live streams.
Yes.
Where they're like,
yeah,
ice cream so good.
Thank you. Yeah,
ice cream
yeah,
so
right.
good. Yeah.
What was her name?
Ooh, yeah.
My
The
gosh,
famous
What
one.
was her
the big
name?
one.
I don't remember.
Yay.
Let me read you some points totals. This is how our points for the night stand.
No, William, I win the points.
No.
Well, here's how it goes. Okay, in last place, with a tie at 1 gwump each, we have Macro Fools, Influencers, Snake Barber, the other number.
It's neck, Evan. It is.
Oh yeah, sorry, Snake Barber. The other number, meaning not 49, but and broken accounts. Thanks for playing. With 1 point each, we've got Stribs, Robert Steckler, and Cock Inu. Congratulations in third place. It's a tie. Alex, it's you and me with 4 points, which means in second place, it's Will with 5 points, and our winner for the night with 10 points. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, is Brooke Lacey. Congratulations. Thank you for playing.
I needed a win.
And Alex, do you happen to have a number? Can you pick somebody for me at random and tell me who Brooke has won a prize for? If Alex calls your number, you will win your choice of a morning show mug. We'll set you up with a USDC to $2 t-shirt, or we've got a bunch of Polygon swag here still. So send us a message. Write it on the back of a $20 bill, whatever you got to do. Alex, you want me to ask Brooke to do the honors? You can't pick 86. It's 1 through 86. You can't pick 33. You can't pick 82. And you can't pick something else. But just go for it.
13.
13.
Okay. That one's definitely safe.
Heck.
That's
yes.
my birthday.
And while Alex looks to pull that up, Brooke, do you have a final thought or a last ask for our audience, something they can do to support you, or as you ride off into the sunset, you want to leave us with?
More gifts. No.
More gifts.
I just want you to put stuff on my face. Oh, that sounded really weird.
It's after dark.
We got some clips tonight.
We got some clips. I got some clips tonight. Clip it forever.
I think that I would like. I don't know. I feel like I just need more motivation. And so if people can go and watch some of my videos and just give me some attention. That's the weirdest thing I've said all week, but the week is still, it's just the middle of the week. I don't know. True. I think just, keep learning. Something that, I want people to just like, don't give up. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. There's a whole story behind that with my dad passing, and he kind of gave up on life. And so I've thought about that a lot over the last 6 months, is like, just don't give up no matter what's happening. Even if it's just basic stuff where you're like, I don't even know what to do today or whatever, just like one step, in front of the other is all I ask of people, is just to like love each other and don't give up on life.
That's beautiful.
Lovely.
That's a good one.
Beautiful.
Alex, do you have a winner for us and a final thought? Who's our winner?
Yes, first of all, the winner is iCortez 1027.
No.
So I'll be
Right.
Cortez tagging and redirecting to open a support ticket. And Evan will get you all taken care of. Final thought, man, this was a lot of fun. So first of all, Brooke, thank you so much for taking all of this time and hanging out with us.
It's my pleasure.
One of my crusades that I'm on right now is just pulling minds of people that are on Twitter talking about just awesome people who are genuinely helping advance the industry in whatever that. There's so many different directions that you can take to be helpful here, and just pulling them out of Twitter and giving them to the rest of the world. Because the thing that I continually tell people, friends of mine who are siloed on Twitter and refuse to believe that there's anything outside of it, is just that there are so many people who really genuinely want to learn this stuff. And the biggest demographic in all of Web3 is the casual user, someone who doesn't necessarily want to make this their whole personality, someone who's all of the different reasons that everyone tunes in and watches and whatever you learn. It's also the most criminally underserved demographic in the entire industry. There's like 4 people in the entire industry that are talking to the most people, and that blows my mind. And I think Twitter is starting to wake up to it, so I'm very excited about it. It means a lot that you were here. This was super fun, and I loved getting to hear your story because it's a bit more of a unique one, I think, in the grand scheme of things. And then besides that, just guys, if you are in, I say it every single time, if you're in any kind of a position with an altcoin where you find yourself up at this point, please consider taking some profits and pay yourself, because you never know.
You do never know. Nothing good happens after dark, especially not with altcoins. Will, what about you? Have you got a final thought?
Well, unless, of course, the Asian markets wake up and just start buying. But anyway, regardless, what I was going to say is just if you guys want to potentially qualify for gifts at the end of episodes like this too, you got to hop into the Rise Up Discord. It's totally free to join. There are links on Alex's bio, Evan's bio. You can go to the riseupmorningshow.com. There isn't a link on my new profile right now. I need to add that. So hop on in. A bunch of free resources that we've also built together there. And there are also some courses you can purchase and also some subscriptions you can subscribe to and get a bunch of stuff, additional stuff for free and discounted. So hop on in there. We have a bunch of devs. We have people in their 80s, people in their 20s, people who are, been in crypto since women.
I'm looking for women.
And the women are there. You must
Not
come
anymore.
to the Rise of Discord.
So many women.
For the women.
They're just there to look at.
They are so pretty.
They're women in Web3, okay? Come on.
Yeah. So hop into the Discord. There are women there. And if you can follow, if you guys can throw me a follow as I'm building my new account here on TikTok again, dolphin_coin_guide. I'd appreciate that. And the last thing I will say is that at 8:16 p.m. this evening, we had these following words, and you're going to be hard to figure out who these words were said by. We are going to show the world how to win with digital assets like never before. That's President Trump. And they're going to be like, wow, but in the future, they're going to be like, wow, they were winning so hard back then with digital assets. I saw those guys and was like, wow, they're winning.
It's too much winning, please.
Too much winning.
Turn the winning down. Yeah.
Happened at
Turn the winning
8:16.
down. Okay, beautiful. And like Will said, the only thing missing from our community is you. You can check out all those resources at theriseuppmorningshow.com. You can find Brooke at x.com/BrookeJLacey or tiktok.com/@BrookeJLacey. We've gotten a lot of really encouraging comments to your last remarks. Joanne says, Brooke, keep doing it. That's our friend Joe. Carol says, so great getting to meet you and to know you in the last few hours. Thank you for your time. Everybody wants you to make more crypto content, and you, friends, are in the right place if you're trying to learn about crypto. I want to encourage you to check out the resources at theriseuppmorningshow.com, to follow the creators here, and make sure you follow them here or with official links, because these are our only accounts. We will never reach out to you directly, personally, to try and sell you something, to try and give you some free Bitcoin. Those are people who are impersonating us, leveraging the trust we've built to take your money. That's my final thought. Some people ask, is crypto secure? And the answer is yes, but users are a weak point. And the most important thing to invest in right now is your knowledge and telling a better story. So thank you for helping us tell a better story and for being the very best part of what we do, my friends. We're going to be back tomorrow, same time. Until then, everybody stay safe. Be well, my friends.